Hey guys, Horace here, and today I am back with another video. I'm going to be showing you how to make a big mushroom. Now, I'm going to be doing a big fantasy mushroom or fantasy mushrooms in the future, but this is just a basic mushroom that doesn't look absolutely spectacular, but does serve its purpose. So I'm going to go pretty high up here. Doesn't really matter where. Let's go sphere 57, which is diamond block, and then let's say 20. It's a pretty big sphere, so it gets its point across. And then what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be kind of taking a line and slowly making a line. Now, you can do this by hand, but I have a way to do this, so hopefully that'll save you quite a bit of time. And this is, of course, not the most detailed tree in the world, or sorry, mushroom in the world, but my hope is that you can kind of use this and um, add more details to it and add a little bit more excitement to it. But I figured I would show you the simple version so that you can kind of decide what you want to do with it. And so you basically just make a giant circle around it. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. It just has to look something that resembles kind of the bottom of a mushroom on some level. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to go down here. So let's go down there, and then we are going to select that. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do line 0, 3, and then we're going to kind of just follow the lines down a little bit. Follow the lines down a little bit. It's going to kind of cut into the bottom of it, and then we are going to select down here, and then we are going to do kind of the same thing so that it doesn't do a weird thing that it can do where the sides just go down a little bit. But it's kind of up to you. You can use from one point or not, doesn't really matter. Okay, and then we're going to select another point. Of course, this is going to be a little bit of a longer tutorial, but hopefully it'll still be useful and stuff like that. So of course, every mushroom is going to be a little bit different. The line's going to be a little bit different. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of cleanup and stuff like that to the underside of the mushroom because it's just not perfect. You can do this completely by hand by just chopping through it, but I found it just doesn't look as natural and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use BR sphere 0, and then let's just do 5, and that way I can just get rid of this bottom real easy. You can of course just do this by hand, but that's a lot of blocks to break, so I just generally do it with a brush and stuff like that to give me a little bit easier time with dealing with all of these blocks. And then once it's down, you can even just make the size a bunch bigger, and that way as long as you're not clipping the top of this, or the bottom of this, should I say, then you're going to be fine. Of course, as you can see, it is smooth in some areas and it's not smooth in others. So you want to kind of fill these gaps up, and there's really not too much to that. I'm not going to do a ton of detailing in regards to that, just for tutorial purposes. But of course, you would want to make it look smooth and nice, and make it look just like this little middle section, along these sides where it's just a little bit chopped up and there's a few blocks missing and stuff like that. So that's just kind of the basic on that. And so what we're going to be doing is we're now going to get the stem going. So what we're going to do is we're going to do sphere. Let's just go 41, which is diamond block. And then we're going to do, let's say 4, because oops. Maybe I should actually, make it look good and do actually BR sphere so that it actually equips to a brush. But you have basically the top of the mushroom. It still looks a little weird, but we'll fix that in just a little bit. Now, most people would come from down, but I'm going to be going up. So that's there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up so that it looks a little bit more natural. I don't know why it does that. And of course, sometimes you're just going to get it a little bit mixed up. So what you're going to do is you're just going to undo those real quick. And then you're just going to keep pushing it up. That doesn't look quite right. So I'm just going to keep undoing it and redoing it until it looks right. That's 2 stacked, so I'm going to have to go back just a little bit and There we go. Does that look good? Nope, it still doesn't look good. Now, of course, when you're working in Minecraft, when you're creating art, you want to make sure that it looks its absolute best. So sometimes you just don't get it right the first time, and that is totally fine. That looks a little better. You kind of get the idea. Now, the thing is that I'm not going into the center. So now that I have that, I found a problem. So I'm going to undo that just a little bit further. I want it to go into this center. So I'm going to just continue to try to pull it this way just a little bit to make sure that it goes into the center. And there we go. It's a little bit more into the center. Of course, it's not perfectly centered. So if you wanted to do that, that is absolutely fine. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the gunpowder and arrow. I'm going to do BEB fill, and this is voxel sniper, and this is just a smooth brush. Oops, I'm using the wrong thing. Let's do arrow, and let's just kind of smooth this out to make it look just a little bit nicer. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course. Spend as much time as you want to make it look as nice as possible, and I would highly recommend spending some time actually doing it by hand, because no matter how much, brushes are not a substitute for your hand and stuff like that. So when you want to do that, you just kind of go in and you edit it by hand. You just make it look as good as possible. But for just tutorial purposes, I'm not going to do too much of that because I will have to make another tutorial on how to make things look smooth by hand. But of course, just trying to eye it and do your best that you can. Now, I'm going to select this entire thing, and just for now, I'm not going to do anything with it, but I'm going to continue to add a little bit of change to the top so that it doesn't look like a perfect sphere. Just change it just a little bit. You don't have to change it much. You just have to change it just a little bit, just to make sure it just doesn't look like a complete perfect sphere, and it just gives it a little bit more of an organic shape. Now, you don't want to do too much because otherwise you'll start getting into some ugly lines that you just don't want. So you just kind of want to tap it, not do too much, not drag it, not auto click it too much, just kind of make it look a little bit more natural. You can even do this to the bottom of the thing to kind of give it a little bit more smoothness and stuff like that. These brushes are definitely going to be your friends when you're making these and stuff like that. And you can make rims and stuff like that by just doing a slash sphere. Let's say 42, and then let's like say 2, and then you can and then you can do slash G mask or mask. Let's say 57, which is the block, and then you can kind of make a thing, but we're not going to be doing that, just so you know. And then what we're going to be doing is we are going to make this a much larger, so let's say that's 4, and we're just going to put little polka dots just around the mushroom, and there we go. And if you don't like where it's placed, then you just don't have to deal with it. And now, I also have it selected right now. I believe I have the entire thing selected, but if I don't, then unfortunate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change the G mask to off by just doing no number after the G mask. We're going to do slash replace 42, which is iron blocks, and we're going to just do 251, which is just concrete. Of course, you can just put concrete in the ID slot, but if you are feeling lazy and just do numbers because it is so much faster. Okay, and then 57, we can either do 50 or 25114, which is concrete that's red, or you can do a more traditional 114 to give an actual mushroom block, and it'll have those little white polka dots all over the build. But it really doesn't matter. It's just kind of the shade of color that you like. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to do 51 and then 115, which is the stem block. Of course, you can change this to any block. You could even do 5-5 to get a more interesting thing. Just kind of go wild with it. Some people will even do this, BR surface, let's say 51, let's go 52, and then 3. And what they'll do is make sure their G mask is off, make sure their mask is off, and then what they'll do is they'll come under this and make a little bit of a ring, and then make sure it's good, 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 good. All right, now what I don't want to do is I don't want to touch the gold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to G mask and then exclamation point and then 41, which is gold. So that will affect everything but gold. So I'm masking pretty much everything else, just not gold. and you can add anything onto that list. And then what you can do, of course, that's not a perfect thing, but you want to turn your Gmask off, and then you want to replace the 41 with, say, 99. Oops, not that. You want to replace 42 with 99, and it'll give it an underside mushroom feel. And then you'll replace the 41 with 115, which is just the white stem and stuff like that. And you can kind of just get a big, large mushroom. Of course, this can be downscaled or upscaled however you want, depending on how large your build is. Of course, you can put little houses in here. You can kind of just go with it. This is a basic mushroom, but I'm hoping that with your imagination, you can turn it into something absolutely beautiful and exciting and so, so creative. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I know this was a little bit of a longer tutorial, but hopefully this gives you a good understanding on how to make mushrooms. Of course, make your own mushrooms. I believe in your creativity. It's something that I've seen time and time again. Of course, these are just tutorials, and I would love to see your creations. So join my Discord and share your creations if you do. It really doesn't have to be a mushroom, but I love seeing creations if you need help or anything like that. Of course, I have a new Patreon if you don't know already. I have that linked down in the description below too. I have a Patreon server where you can build in 1.16. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.